God has called you into business. You know you are where you are supposed to be, but what should that business really look like? What does your business look like? If you are like me, then you're probably good at so many different things, right? I know that most of the Christian women that I meet are brilliant and they could go in many different directions and do lots of different things in their businesses. And many, what they're actually doing is trying to actually do all those different things for a business. They are busy. I bet you you're busy too, right? So what happens when you are too busy, doing too many things all at the same time? Well, first of all, you are not focused. You can't even stay committed to doing your best in any one area. And you're really not making the impact that you want to make. Let's face it, you're tired. I know you are. I can get that way too. What if you could figure out your one thing, the one thing that brings all of your brilliance together into what we call your genius zone? Imagine what your business could look like, what your life could look like if you were able to be committed to the one thing and then make that deeper impact on those God is calling you to serve. Let's figure out your genius zone. Join me. Hey there, wise woman. This is DeneenTB, your Christian business growth strategist and clarity coach. Thanks again for being here. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So I love talking about your genius zone. Normally, I talk about the intersection of what you're good at, what you love, and what breaks your heart, or how do you want to serve the world. But today, I want to take you through an exercise that I've actually used before myself. It is from a book called The Big Leap by Hendricks. In this book, he actually talks about 4 zones. And it is the zone of incompetence, the zone of competence, the zone of excellence, and the zone of genius. Now, when you are working in that zone of incompetence, you can imagine what it is, right? You're engaging in something that you're simply not good at. And you know that a lot of other people can do it way better than you can. I bet you can think of a lot of things right now that you would like to not be doing because it's something that's difficult for you, or it's something that you know somebody else could do it better, or it's just plain boring to you. For that reason, we're not going to use this zone in our exercise, okay? The second zone, when you're working in this zone of competence, which is, you're able to get the job done, you're competent at it, but you're no better than the next person that's out there doing it. It kind of reminds me of when I used to volunteer at church. I used to say it was like putting my hand in a bucket of water and I was filling up that space while I was there, but as soon as I would take my hand out of that space, the water would just come rushing right in until the next person came along and put their hand in there and could do that job just as well. This is another area where we're going to skip that part in the exercise because it's not going to help us at all. The third zone, when you're working in it, the zone of excellence, you're actually doing something that you're very, very good at compared to most other people. Sometimes, though, we forget that we can do lots of things better than others, and we really don't give ourselves credit. Just because something comes easy to you does not mean that it comes easy for others. Also in this zone, this is the zone where we usually cultivate most of the things that we now can do really, really well. Things that we've practiced and we've made improvements over time. Remember that because this is going to be part of the exercise, okay? And then, of course, the fourth zone, when you're working in your zone of genius, or your genius zone, you are kind of in that flow. These are these abilities that are really innate to you and you didn't really have to learn them. And these are the things that kind of, I always like to say, when you can lose track of time when you're engaged in that activity, you're taking advantage of these natural talents and you're doing so because you're doing something you really enjoy doing and you can keep yourself endlessly inspired to keep going. This is where you can be committed to that one thing that God wants for you because It is uniquely you. This is going to be very important in the exercise too, of course. All right. So for those who are successful in their businesses, and even if you're in a career, Hendricks has been quoted as saying this: the most successful people are operating in their zone of excellence, in which they are doing things at which they are highly skilled. This zone is ultimately unsatisfying, though, because it does not engage the innate genius of the individual. Now, I want to say that this was true for me when I was teaching. Now, I know I'm a good teacher. I have a master's degree in education, and for many years I practiced teaching in both elementary classrooms and high school classrooms. But I was unsatisfied because I wasn't tapping into my zone of genius at that time. So let me ask, what are you doing right now in your business or for a business that you are really good at, but you're still not finding the satisfaction with what you're doing? Let me know down in the comments, what is it that you're doing? And do you feel that being unsatisfied, that unsatisfaction, I guess we call it? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to start a conversation about that. So the best way for us to get to this exercise is for me to give myself as an example of how I decided on coaching and how to do it from my genius zone. So go ahead and get your paper and pencil ready so that you can figure this out for yourself to see if you're in the right place with your business, or if you need to decide what your business really should look like, or if there needs to be some kind of change from what you're doing now. Okay, got your paper and pencil? Good. So we are going to start by identifying the expert zones. Okay, so we're in the zone of expertise right now. Now, you don't have to be the best at something to be considered or consider yourself an expert. You just need to be good enough at it or know enough about it that you can help someone else who knows nothing about it. Really, your problem is not that you're not an expert at anything, but that you're probably too good at too many things. You know, too much. And because of that, sometimes it kind of gives you analysis paralysis. Then you can't choose between what is good, what is better, and what is best. But that's a good problem to have, but it's still a problem. So what is the antidote to find your genius zone? So this is the area where you can contribute something that is truly unique. All right, so let's get started. What are your expert zones? On your piece of paper, I want you to list everything that you can think of, even if it seems very basic. Now, of course, I've already edited my list, but I wanted to give you some of the bigger things that I did. So my list would include something like teaching, curriculum development, missions, Spanish, Bible, public speaking, parenting, writing, social media strategy, discipleship, drama, homeschooling, leadership, business development, and brainstorming. Okay? You might need to stop the video and make your list before we go on, or you can do it for homework. You know, always the teacher. So now, once you have this list, I want you to look at it, and I want you to decide what is your one big key zone. Okay? From all the things you listed on your expert zones list, there has to be one thing that you have to include it in your business. You cannot deny it. This has to be part of it. What is it? Highlight it, circle it, write it over on another list. If I were to look at my list, I would actually have to say that it was curriculum development. Why? Because I've used it across all the other things that you see on my list in my life. I used this skill obviously when I was teaching and I was homeschooling. I used it when I created a program to have a business teaching Spanish and writing dramas for all the mission trips I went on. And I used it when I led Bible studies. And I used it when I created my coaching program. Now, if you can find a commonality like I did that runs throughout all the other things, that's super, that's great. But it could also just be that thing that you have done the longest or that you have the most experience in and you feel the most comfortable with. Think of it this way. To create a genius zone without this particular thing would be virtually impossible. That's how I want you to think about it. What can't be left out of your list as you narrow it down? That would be your one big key zone, okay? Don't worry though, we're not going to forget some of the secondary zones from that same list. Okay, so now look back at the list and choose from the things on the list that you really enjoy, that really energize you when you actually do them. Write those next to that big key zone. The best way to think through this is to put them kind of like side by side, see how they would overlap and work together for you. This could be a potential genius zone for you. Your actual genius zone can be made up of just 2 of those areas overlapping, or it could be 3, 4, or as many as 10. Those that I would pull from my list alongside and overlapping with that curriculum development would be actually things like teaching and Bible and public speaking, writing, discipleship, drama, leadership, business development, and brainstorming. That's a lot, I know. A lot of overlaps, but that's what makes it the genius zone, right? It's really in this combination of your skills and your traits and your experiences that make up your genius zone. In Calling Clarity, we have a tool that we call the 360-degree view tool that helps you really to clarify this genius zone. But let's continue with the exercise that we're doing. Did you write out all of those secondary expert zones? How many did you feel were super important to you? Too many? Where do they fit into how you want to do your business or how you're actually doing your business right now? While your genius zone may be related to those innate talents and abilities that God has given you, the way he's designed you, the things that you already possess, you don't need to feel pigeonholed into having to use all of them. You can actually choose what you want for your genius zone, what you want it to be, and what will work for you, and work towards doing that. The brilliance of this genius zone is that once you find it, it makes it really a lot easier to focus and come up with ideas for your actual content. It makes it easier for you to pinpoint who that ideal client really is and be able to speak to them in a way that they will actually hear you. It allows you to serve them with much more meaning and value, and it's more fulfilling for you. Your genius zone should be activities that feel effortless to you. You should be energized when you work in them. Here are some questions to help you get even clearer on your zone of genius. When do you feel most alive and energized? What are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? And how are you doing this thing? Remember, we want it to be easy. We want it to be joyful. We want it to be without thinking that you can do this. The answers to these questions may not even be work or business related. That's okay. We could talk about how to monetize your genius in the Calling Clarity program. That's part of what we do. If you want to know more about that, well, let's have a chat. I'll put the link down in the description so that you can connect directly with me and we can talk about what does it look like when I'm working in my genius zone and how can I monetize that? Make your appointment today. The real thing about working in your genius zone is to understand how it all relates to your business because of your unique combination of those skills and those traits and those experiences. This is really what's going to make you and help you to stand out and attract those ideal clients. So let me take my list of teaching, Bible, public speaking, writing, discipleship, drama, leadership, business development, brainstorming, along with the curriculum development, and explain how each one of these shows up in my business in a way that is in my genius zone. So of course, curriculum development is the way I created the program, and it really keeps me creating more and more tools as my clients need them. So I'm very comfortable doing that. In fact, I have so many lead magnets. It's crazy because I love creating them. Teaching has always been my way of doing things. So instead of being the kind of coach that some might expect, I'm a very directive coach. And of course, I give homework. My drama and my public speaking are why I decided to use YouTube as one of my marketing strategies. I also do public speaking on stage, and I love having an audience. My Bible and discipleship are really at the root of how I believe we need to show up in the marketplace, because our one job from Jesus, his one command was to go and make disciples. And we get to do that in the marketplace. And then writing helps me have fresh content all the time. It helps me with my scripts that are coming up, and it helps me even write the second book that I'm writing that helps Christian businesswomen. Oh, what did I forget? Oh yeah, the business development and leadership. Now, I'm a firstborn girl, so I've always been a leader. Through trial and error and lots of hard work, I've learned business. I've also learned that I love business women's minds, and I love helping them to get into their own genius zone and do what God is calling them to do based on how he has designed them. And when you get serious about your own design, then you will live in your genius zone too. So, are there parts of your business that you're not going to be good at doing? Yes. At first, you will have to do some things that may be in that zone of incompetence and even in your zone of competence. But remember, the more that you work or try to work towards and into your genius zone, the more that you will succeed. You can find the help you need so you can do all the parts of your business that you love. You have to decide what really does not need to get done, what tasks you want to delegate, and you want to do that as quickly as possible. And you want to start working in your genius zone right away. Even if you can just work in your genius zone for 10 minutes a day, start to do it. Grow that time. And as you grow your business, you'll be able to spend more and more time in your genius zone, giving away all those other parts of your business to other people, their genius zones, and be 90% of the time in your own genius zone. That's the goal. You know, I hope this has been inspiring to you. Let me know down in the comments what you discovered about your genius zone as you did the exercise. And don't forget, make that appointment for a clarity call with me so that we can see how to monetize that genius for you, or even dive deeper into that genius zone so you can really understand how God has designed you to show up in your business uniquely so you can attract your ideal clients. This is DeneenTB. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to like this video, comment again about your own genius zone, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, be filled to overflowing.